Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International. It's now time for a second topic of discussion for today, and we're going to be talking, as we noted earlier in our introduction, about the COVID-19 vaccine and the success rates so far. And final results from a COVID-19 vaccine trial has showed that it had a 95% success rate and 2 months of safety data, paving the way for the drug maker to apply for an emergency U.S. authorization within days. And to shed more light on this topic, we're most delighted to be joined over the phone by Dr. Ramy Aziz, a professor of microbiology, Cairo University. A very good morning, doctor, and thank you so much for joining us on The Breakfast Show.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Doctor, first of all, if you can tell us about the effectiveness of the 95% successful vaccine. If you can tell us, how do you read this?
Yeah, thank you. So this is a very good number. So it's called the vaccine efficacy, and it's related to the clinical trial phase. So later, within 1 or 2 years, we can decide exactly how the effectiveness is. But the efficacy is a short term. So within 2 months, this vaccine was given to 18,000 people. And 18,000 received another thing we call placebo, which means they just receive an injection with no vaccine in it, you know. Mm-hmm. So out of these people, 168 became sick, got COVID-19, and only 8 were vaccinated, while the other 160 were not. So which means that if you calculate the ratio, it's 95%, which means the risk for somebody who receives the vaccine of getting COVID-19 is 5%. Which is very good, actually. I know people want 100%, but there is no 100% in science, you know.
Yes, Dr. Ramy, also the health minister, Dr. Aziz, has said in a statement that Egypt has reserved doses of a vaccine developed by a U.S. pharmaceutical organization, which would cover up to 20% of the country's needs. How do you assess this?
So we have to know that. So first of all, I'm not affiliated with the ministry, so I don't know the official numbers. So I will just give my opinion as a scientific opinion. But it's always important to make contracts with several companies and several providers, because we don't know after 1 or 2 years. So maybe the vaccine is the best in the first 2 months, but in 2 years we may discover that another vaccine is better. So it's really good for all countries to make deals with several companies and to reserve enough doses from different countries, China, Russia, US, Europe, etc., and also our own Egyptian vaccine. Having said that, there is something we have to take in consideration, which is the production is not very rapid, because every company wants to make enough vaccines for almost 1 billion people. So that's why. So I think 20% of Egyptian need will be very, very good, but it will not be immediate, because this company has to make, as I told you, billions of doses, and the capacity is to produce about 30 or 40 million per month. And they are already contracted with different countries. So we just have to be patient and wait and stay cautious until we receive doses here.
Dr. Ramy, how do you evaluate the efforts exerted to slow down the progress of COVID-19 worldwide so far?
Yeah, I'm not very impressed. So we have some countries that were really exemplary. For example, New Zealand, and South Korea, Taiwan, and China. China, of course, were the first country to be hit, but very quickly they managed to contain this. So I want to say that these countries are very good examples to follow. Meanwhile, the rest of the world, I think it's related somehow to the people lifestyle and culture. many people in Europe and the U.S., for example, they could not take the same measures as in some Oriental countries. Even if you look in Egypt, just compare our own response as people in March and April. We were very scared. We were very cautious, and the numbers were less than now. So now the number of cases that are announced are higher than what we had in March and April. But if you look at people in the streets, in just restaurants, in transportation, it seems they feel it will never hit them. Although if you check, you will find so many cases around you. So I am hoping people will be patient because we are very, very close. So it's like you have been patient for 11 or 12 months and all of a sudden you relax because the vaccine is almost there. But we have to wait another maybe 2-3 months until
that brings us...
by the way, even after...
Yes, that brings me to my next
vaccine,
question, Dr. Ramy, which is, when do you think a vaccine will be finally available to stabilize the new normal that the world is currently experiencing?
Yeah, this is a very good question, I was going to say. So if you look at, actually, just yesterday and today, there are so many good news. So as you said, this company applied for emergency approval in U.S., and I think it was approved today. And also the study was published scientifically, so we are confident that their data are true, not just propaganda. There is another company on its way to be approved. And we just learned today that Egypt received the first batch of the Chinese vaccine that has been tried. And we also heard from the authorities that the Egyptian vaccines are also being in trials. So I expect by March or April that there will be a good amount of vaccines in Egypt, even starting from January. But it will be limited maybe for healthcare workers in the beginning. And then it will be slowly prioritized first for the elderly and the essential workers, of course.
Yeah,
so I hope by the end of the year.
Yeah, we're going to be having, of course, our fingers crossed, and we can't wait till all the Egyptians and the nation will be able to have this vaccine and this nightmare, COVID-19, which has brought the whole world to a standstill.
I just want to say a last thing, maybe.
Yes.
Even when people start getting the vaccine, we will have to be cautious. Until, as you said, so many... I don't want to say every Egyptian is vaccinated, but maybe 70%. Because even if 10% are vaccinated, they can get the virus in their nose, and they can spread it without being sick. So we have to be careful until we reach this number called herd immunity with 60 or 70%. And I'm very hopeful this will happen in 2021.
Yes, Dr. Ramy, also, do you have any information about treatments for COVID-19 aside from the vaccine, new treatments or breakthroughs that can bring an end to the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, very good question as well. So there is a big advance in treatment, but treatment never ends the virus. So the only way to end the virus is a good vaccination. Treatment is, there are 2 stages. First, the viral stage, the first week of the disease. So there is advance on a couple of antivirals, but it's not very the best, but there are 2 or 3 antibodies that have been already approved for emergency use, and one of them is the one that President Trump took. So these antibodies are from human immune system, and you can give them to the patient, but it has to be given in the first week. For the following weeks, what the patients have is more like exaggerated immune response or lung disease. So until now, the best treatment for this is steroids, but some drugs are being tested. But the breakthrough, as you asked, is the new antibodies that have been approved.
Yes, Dr. Ramy Aziz, Professor of Microbiology, Cairo University. Thank you so much for your insight, and thank you so much for joining us on The Breakfast Show. And dear viewers, by this we come to the end of today's episode of The Breakfast Show. Just a quick recap of what we discussed. We talked about the visit of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to France, and also we talked about the latest when it comes to the COVID-19 vaccine. Dear viewers, in the company of myself, Karim Gamaluddin, and my dear colleague, Dina Hussein. Until we meet again, this is goodbye.